go even deeper into the experience of being a body in the water. So I think the reason I got into this project in the first place is because I love to swim, and when I was young, my sister and I was sitting right over there. Hi, Janie. My sister and I and my brother and my parents, we have this cottage on a lake, which is really nice and clear, and we spend a lot of time swimming underwater. Especially my brother, me, and my dad, we have competitions who could hold our breath the longest. And I used to love being underwater and the feeling of the water pressed against my skin and the way it would undulate and I would turn over and I would seal my nose and I would look up at the underside. Who's done that? Looked up at the underside of the water. Janie has, where it's all like, looks like beaten tin. It's all reflective and silver and you know, it affected me so strongly. So I was really interested in what can I learn about a whale based if I just spend more time in the water? And who could I talk to that really spends a lot of time in water at depth? And I found this amazing guy. His name is like, it's the most awesome dramatic name, Kirk Crack. And he's Kirk Crack, and he's a professional diver, and it's so Kirk Crack. This guy, on one breath, has swum down to 250 feet below the water on a single breath, 75 meters, and he can hold his breath for 9 minutes. So which is insane. So he's one of the absolute, you know, masters of this. He's a coach, and he lives in Vancouver. So we talked a lot about the mammalian diving reflex, which is a lot of marine mammals have, including humans. And basically, and this is interesting that we have it at all, but when you go really deep, what happens is the heart slows down, blood shunts out of the extremities into the core, and actually your lungs will fill up with plasma to protect them from the pressure. So it's as if like we had this. There's something called the aquatic ape theory of evolution, which believes that humans didn't evolve in the savannah, but we evolved as marsh waders. Because for whatever reason, we seem to have this whole physiological response to deep water that we've evolved. So very interesting to think about that. But anyway, so I wanted Kirk to tell me what was it like to be at depth, and this is what he told me. So it's a left-hand speaker. Get nice and loud.
There's these times where we'll just pull down the line to depth. And so because we're not kicking, the heart rate can stay really relaxed right from the beginning. So it's a much easier way of getting down. When you get to the bottom, your physiology just adapts so quickly, so strong that you get down there and you have way more time, far more relaxed than you could by kicking down. And just kind of hit the bottom down there, and you know it's nice and bright. You can hear all the snap, crackle, pops from the reef, you know, from the fish on the reef, and you know you look up, and the light from the sun is dancing through in what they call God rays. It's like, you know, these rays of light that are dancing around from the shimmering of the water, and you know you see these little specks of your people up top. You know, they're kind of backlit, and you're just in this really extreme physiology, and your heart rate has decreased so much, and you're so relaxed, and it's so comfortable, and you feel like you've got this breath hold that could go on forever. There's no urge to breathe. There's nothing. It's the most meditative, relaxed sensation that you can get into, because not only is your body adapt, but you're free of gravity. And so what I like to do on those ones is I just lay on my back, put my hands behind me, and just kind of look up and around. And you try and be as still and as slow and purposeful in your moves so you don't waste any oxygen or waste any energy. And I like to just kind of lay on my back, hands fingers locked behind my head, and chill out and look up and spend the next couple of minutes enjoying it until I get that first little urge to breathe, which is your stomach kind of contracting and saying, CO2's rising. But you don't have to go up right away. So you can even go through another minute, sometimes minute and a half of that sensation slowly building, until you know that, well, I better start now for the surface so I don't push myself into a bad situation. But just being able to relax down there. And for me, it's, I get down there and I think, man, if I could only just be like this indefinitely.
Doesn't he sound like he spent a lot of time underwater? He's so chilled, probably carbon dioxide poisoning. So I love that clip. I mean, that to me speaks to something about the languor. I mean, you can think of it as whales practically doing pranayama breathing, because they're constantly holding their breaths, and that's the physiological response that's happening. So we're almost done. There's only one last clip I'm going to play for you. I made this with a friend of mine, Noah Pred, who's a DJ in Toronto. And we wanted to kind of make an audio clip that described what it's like a kind of auditory tour through the ocean from the point of view of a blue whale. And I asked this guy, Chris Cornell, the bioacoustics expert, to kind of narrate for me and describe for me the kinds of things that the whale would be experiencing. And then Noah made a kind of Noah and I made this sort of soundscape together. So this is the last clip, so definitely want you to close your eyes for this one and just sort of give yourself over to the experience. And it's a lot about tempo, about slowness, about the things we just heard Kirk talk about. So
we all have a sense of time, whether it's a daily sense of time or a weekly or monthly. And when I imagine a whale sense of time, one of the things I feel I need to do is, of course, stretch it out. That if my heart beats 4 times a minute and my song, one note is sung only once every minute or every minute and a half, everything's got to slow down orders of magnitude over what I'm used to. In this world, the cadence of time is very, very, very slow. So let's take an acoustic journey as though we were a passenger on the blue whale. Near the surface, you hear the bubbles in the ocean, entrained by the crashing of waves driven by wind and currents. The sounds of shipping. As a whale, you can actually recognize the different kinds of ships because they have different types of signatures. You actually hear the sounds of humanity radiating out into the ocean. You can hear highways, the noise of trains. You can hear traffic on interstate highways, and it propagates out. In this world, the cadence of time is very, very, very slow. The ocean that you're swimming in is alive with the sounds of fish, choruses of animals, males creaking and groaning and grinding their teeth and stridulating their air bladders. And as you dive down, what emerges from the ocean are the very, very distant voices of other whales, hundreds of miles away.